Caught you because I could. Chapter 1 of Hive Dads and Regal Visitors.
Oh, well, this is just fantastic.
Unfortunately for Luna, her sarcasm meant nothing to the small raptor-esque creatures leaping for her and her sister's faces. She blasted them away regardless with pinpoint precision, but she only had eyes for said sister.
Take the scenic route and explore the elegance of nature, Luna. The fun is in the journey.
Luna mocked, dodging tiny fangs.
You know, I think I've heard that somewhere before. Where was it? Oh, that's right. This is the Bramblebush fiasco all over again.
A lizard soared by Luna's snout, swatted away by golden magic.
Don't blame me for trying to make the most of our vacation,
Celestia retorted. She gave a shrill scream when her mane was bitten and tugged on from behind. She took to the air and shook her head, sending the scaly hitchhikers flying. Luna was already in stitches.
How was I supposed to know about these troublesome little critters? Oh, I don't know. Ask the local king about any wildlife that we may encounter before we journey to see him. You two are still pen pals, are you not?
Celestia huffed. Her horn blazed with a blinding light that wrapped nearly every lizard in a golden aura. Their tiny legs flailed uselessly as they hovered off the ground.
You're the one who asked that we walk instead of fly on our last major vacation. I was just trying to be considerate this time. That's what I was trying to do!
Luna seized a stray lizard gnawing at her hoof and added it to her sister's collection.
We stopped compromising last time, sister, and we stopped having fun because of it. Was that not the lesson we learned?
Celestia walked to a nearby drop-off, where she lowered the mass of frantic lizards down its cliff face and into the valley below.
It was. So you'll agree then that it's my turn to compromise? Perhaps, but I'm afraid I must insist that I do this time. What? Why?
Celestia sighed.
Because you were right, Luna. I always want to do things that I like to do, and I often have little patience for the things you enjoy. I will not let that happen this time. This time, I want to do things your way.
Luna dragged a hoof over her face.
Endearing, truly. However, my way involves taking established paths, of which there are none. Out here, taking my way leads to getting swarmed by animals, apparently. So by all means, Tia, take flight and lead the way. Well, alright. But you can take the lead, Luna. I insist. Allow me to do at least that much. Sister, please. What? You are the only one who has been to the hive before. Where would you have me take us? I assure you, it won't be to see Thorax.
In a moment of realized absurdity, Celestia laughed. Luna laughed with her. Together, they ascended above the trees, sharing a touch of their horns as they did so.
I apologize,
Celestia said with a smile.
Those lizards surprised me, and turned me all around, it seems. There's no need to apologize. I believe we are both a bit tired too. That was close, though. What was close?
Luna smirked.
Our bickering? I suspect we'll become map mission fodder again for a certain princess and her friends if we let ourselves get too carried away.
Celestia scoffed.
Don't say things like that. I don't think I could look Twilight in the face again if we required yet another map intervention.
The retired duo flew over dancing forests and rolling fields alike, reaching ever closer to a lone gray spike piercing the sky. Shrouded by its lush environment, it could have been mistaken for an old ashen tree on a hilltop. But Celestia knew better. For her, muscle memory had taken over as far back as the Badlands' former border.
The snow-crest peaks of Yakyakistan and the bone spires of Aramaspe's old territory were true wonders to see first, sister. But I think this will be my favorite stop of all.
Celestia watched as trees parted and hills bowed away to reveal King Thorax's hive, shimmering in the afternoon light. She beamed.
Oh, I agree. It's been far too long since we've had an audience with Thorax and his subjects.
Hey, where do you think you're going, Pexy? I wasn't done tickling you yet. A scene of chaos filled the corridors as red and blue blurs chased each other around and over the heads of curious passers-by. In the lead, though not by much, was a lime and cherry nymph, his face contorted with terror. A furious buzzing bore down on him from behind as Azor hooves came so tantalizingly close to nabbing him.
Go away, Papa Kalor!
Apex shouted over her shoulder.
I don't want to play with you right now!
Kalor wore a cheeky grin. His prey took a sharp turn, and so he gripped the corner of the wall to launch himself forward, losing none of his momentum. Well, I want to play, and it's my turn to decide what we do, right? It was your turn this morning. You wanted to prank the guard changelings by dropping all those honeysuckle pods on them. Remember? Apex giggled, but quickly repressed it.
Yeah, but you're always mean when it's your turn. You just trap me and hug me and tickle me and I can never get away. It's not fun.
Sounds fun to me.
I don't like it.
Well, how come you laugh so much then?
Because that's what happens when you tickle someling.
Kalor hummed and curled his lip. I don't know. I remember Thorax saying someling around here enjoys having tickle fights with him. This tastes like a lie, Pexy. I'm gonna come find out. A hoof grazed Apex's leg, and he gasped. His tiny wings buzzed even faster, but he'd already been caught. Blue hooves held him tight to the dark blue chitin as Kalor landed and skidded along the hive floor, churning up dust and gravel. When he came to a stop, Apex's struggle intensified. The two began to wrestle, not the least bit haggard from their chase. Changelings paused and chuckled knowingly at the commotion. I found a weak spot, Kalor sang. Two tiny hooves kicked at his head.
I said no! Bad Papa Kalor!
Apex yelped. He rolled onto his stomach to protect himself, giggling all the while.
Go tease some other nymphs!
But I want to tease my nymph, Kalor insisted. He managed to grin, even with hooves squishing his cheek. Apex seized an opportunity to fly away, but he shrieked when scurrying hooves befell his shell again, and pulled him out of the air. He sought to press under and through his captor's leg instead, but he was pulled back. At every turn, his attempts were foiled, and Kalor's snicker grew. You still haven't told me where you're going in such a hurry, Pexy. We can both go there if you want, and I can tickle you there instead. Kalor stopped mid-sentence. A familiar warmth flooded his extremities, but it was Apex who spotted the culprit first.
Papa Thorax!
Kalor turned. The whole chamber greeted Thorax as he entered the room, returning the love magic he so readily shared. But even with all of this attention on him, his eyes found Kalor at once, and he smiled. Kalor smiled back. The warmth in his chest, and in his chest alone, began to pulse.
Papa Thorax, Papa Kalor isn't playing nice again!
Thorax chuckled to himself as the nymph fluttered up to him. He pivoted a coy look first to his mate, and then to Apex.
This sounds awfully familiar, Apex. I think this is the third time this week that you've come to me about something Kalor did.
Apex impatiently zipped around Thorax's head.
That's because he's always being mean. We take turns playing games, but whenever it's his turn, he just wants to hug me or play tickle fight.
The crowd had quieted down. They watched the two with a kind of privileged amusement. Snickers sounded off when Thorax raised a skeptical brow.
What's wrong with those? You've gotten a lot more tolerant with our hugs lately, and you like to play tickle fight with me sometimes. But I don't ever have a chance to get away from him. It's not fair. Get away? I don't understand, Apex. I thought trying to get away was part of the game.
Your mate has invented a spectator sport out of maneuvering the gnat, Thorax. And the gnat's fed up with it. Thorax reflexively turns to greet this source of candid monotone. Pharynx's stone face was waiting for him, fresh out of the corridor.
Oh, Pharynx. I was wondering where you went.
Thorax raised his other brow.
But, what are you talking about? What spectator sport?
Pharynx groaned as he stepped forward, dispersing changelings in his wake. He glared at his brother, now joined by Kalor, and with an eye movement, he summoned Apex to his head.
This is some sick punishment, right? For not hugging you enough when we were nymphs or something? How do I, the last holdout from total hippiedom, get stuck with having to explain your own sap to all of you?
You tell him, Uncle Pharynx!
Pharynx paused. The nymph hadn't the foggiest idea what he was talking about. But his confidence was admirable all the same. Even he had to crack a smile.
Kalor, you're the most agile adult in the hive.
Pharynx continued.
Before you entered the picture, the gnat was untouchable. Before you entered the picture, the gnat was untouchable. Nobody could catch him in a chase. Now you're in his life every day, catching him with ease and in front of everyone else no less. He's probably frustrated. I know I would be.
Kalor's ears fell. Thorax's comforting hoof wrapped around him.
Oh, I guess I didn't think about it that way before,
he mumbled.
Is that right, Pexy?
Yes!
Apex exclaimed, dramatically throwing his tiny hooves up.
That's what I've been trying to tell you! You always pick hug and tickle games and I could never get away!
Now even Kalor's eyes fell. Thorax hugged him tighter, beaming at the nymph atop his eye-level perch.
Apex, I think some of that got lost in communication. I don't think Kalor understood why you were upset. Maybe we can give him another chance, as long as he promises to do things differently.
Hopeful blue eyes looked at Apex's. They were hesitant, but not avoidant. Kalor smiled.
I'm sorry if I made you upset, Pexy,
he said quietly, stepping forward.
I didn't realize what you meant before, but I do now. I'll dial back the chasing.
Apex didn't move from his spot. Frustration still lingered on his face, but Kalor grew a grin anyway.
You know, Pexy, I'm only a little faster than you, and I'm an adult. I bet you'll be even faster than me once you get a bit bigger. Maybe instead of chase games, we can play race games, and I can help you get faster. Would you like that?
Apex excitedly stood up and fluttered down from Pharynx's head, as if he'd never been upset at all.
Okay, I accept your apology then. Let's race to the nursery hive now. I want to show everyling there how fast we are too. Sister, you're such a fucking dumbass, you know that?
That's not actually part of the story, but it would be funny if it was. Anyways, let's get on to our definitely not vulgar donators. Top donators are 630, TacoCat598, Onlyonething, Ceru, Orion, and IronSky. Darkside, Rayden, Narwhals, Blackmoonheart, Pastel Skies, Austin, Rolan, Stu Hex, Swordbrother, Mordred, Omicron, Lyrae, Will, Chris, Twinkie, Ridesoul, Badass Waffle, Shadow Moon, Luigi88, Chancellor Crust, Big Smoke 369, Bobcat GJF, and many more amazing people. Thank you all so much for watching this video and live life to the fullest.